Greetings, everyone. We're going to wait for just a few minutes for everyone to pile in. Um, there we go. Some more people are loading in. I don't want to take up too much time that we have with take away any time that Todd may need. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with some brief chapter news. If I can move one screen over, then I can do this. Okay. Today, just a quick chapter update, and then we'll hear from Todd Baylor, and be sure to stick around because there are a couple of closing remarks that I want to be sure to pass along to everyone. Okay, so chapter updates. We have updated our chapter bylaws, and those will be made available on the website. Secondly, Libby McCurdy is transitioning into the secretarial role. She will be replacing Marianne Till for 2026. So welcome to the board, Libby. We are so happy to have you here. And I know that Marianne is happy to exit after serving for as long as she has. And she's on several different boards. So I know that this will be a little bit of a relief for her to be able to step back and just be a member. Also, and I will put this link in the chat, we desperately need your feedback for 2026 planning. As members, you drive what we do for you. And any kind of feedback that you can supply, whether it's, hey, good job, or hey, you could really improve on X, Y, and Z, I want to hear it. We all want to hear it. And I will give you that link in the chat. Also, Nashville members, if you want an in-person event, you've got to have someone to volunteer to organize. It just is out of my realm of ability at this point. We need someone local to the Nashville area. So all you have to do is make contact with me, and we can get together and talk about it and then get the ball rolling from there. And also be sure to check your APNP homepage because they have been updating the website so that when you log in, you scroll down a little bit and they'll have chapter events located on the homepage. And straight from there, you can go ahead and start logging, getting to the event pages and registering for upcoming events. Right now, it just has this event. I will work with Caroline to make sure that we have November, December posted, and as soon as those are posted on our Mid-South website, those will get entered into the APNP website so that everybody has access to it. Of course, you can always visit our website as well. And with that, I can stop sharing. There we go. And turn it over to Todd. Thank you for joining us, Todd.
Thank you very much for having me. As I start sharing here, I will tell folks I do have some ties to the Mid-South region. I lived in Knoxville for a couple years, a long time ago. So I recognize I have that to share with Caroline, maybe others. How is that?
All
good? It looks great.
Okay. All right. So we are going big today, guys. We are not having a boring, how to do this or that. We're going to talk about how you guys can take over the world. And we will do.
Oops. Todd's been muted.
Yep, Todd, you fell on mute.
Okay, back off mute.
Perfect.
All right.
Gotcha.
So, I'm not sure where I got cut off, but hold on.
You were telling us how we're going to take over the world, and then it cut
love
off.
it. All right, and we're going to do that in the form of a story. So you guys can just sit back, don't worry about taking notes. And let me tell you that once upon a time, there was a woman named Angel. And she was a proposal manager at Big Dog Systems. And she was a control freak and a megalomaniac, just like I'm sure all you guys are on the phone, and she had visions of taking over the world. And that was not such a bad thing because the world of business development, at least on the federal side, was undergoing significant change. There was a time when agencies had their missions and had their goals, and they would publish their strategic plans, and their leadership would speak at conferences and talk about their priorities. And we contractors would hear about those priorities, and we would develop our capabilities, and we would present them at the same industry conferences because we wanted our market and our customers to think about us when they were solving their problems. And we wanted to also just to have them get to know us, because we know that people only buy from people they know, like, and trust. As agencies decided how they were going to solve their problems and where they might need help, they would put out RFIs or sources sought. They might publish their procurement plans. We would see those plans and we would develop our pipelines, and we would respond to the RFIs and say, hey, we could do that work. And would you mind releasing it on this vehicle instead of that vehicle, because we wanted to shape the procurement towards something we could compete on. And if we were competent and charming through this process, maybe the agency came to like us, or the people at the agency came to like us. Whether they did or not, they would move forward with their procurements. And, the large ones might have industry days, but just about all procurements release some sort of draft, maybe a statement of work or a performance work statement, maybe a draft RFP. And we would respond to the statements of work, and hopefully by now we're in there talking with them. But we would use the Q&A process to say, maybe you could change the evaluation criteria for this procurement from this to this, because we wanted to shape the competition towards something we could win. And ideally, or hopefully, by this time, we have climbed the know, like, and trust curve, because if we haven't, by the time they release their final solicitation, it's too late. They go dark on us, we go off, we work on our proposal, maybe we prepare for a tech challenge, maybe we prepare for an orals competition, and ideally, at the end of this dance, we receive an award. So if we're going to call this a dance, the federal choreography, their dance steps, has been governed by the Federal Acquisition Regulation. Contractor dance steps, our choreography, is typically governed by some derivative of the Shipley Business Development Lifecycle tool. But now there's a new administration in town, and they say that our dance has become too bureaucratic, it is too slow, and it needs to be overhauled. And for those that have heard of the RFO, or maybe the FAR 2.0, this is where the new administration says that they will cut back the FAR from its current 2,000 pages down to just what the statutes require, maybe more like 100 or 200 pages. And they want a procurement process that is more agile, more streamlined, more of a commercial process. And they have not been subtle about this. And DOJ came to town and said, and half of the procurement office personnel decided to leave, and people on our side, on the growth side of the contractors, either panicked or, more likely, they sort of kept their head down and almost in some ways became paralyzed, and hoped that this would blow over, hoped that they wouldn't get laid off. Except Angel stepped up and said, hey, this RFO thing, I used to work in the commercial space, I know what's going on. All the RFO is doing from a contractor perspective is telling us that we cannot be followers in this dance to the extent that we could before. We need to instead proactively drive our value propositions through white papers and such to the agencies. And this current administration wants to see proactive proposals that say things like, there is a commercial product or service that can do this slice of the federal mission. And if you use that, you can significantly reduce federal costs. And if you really want to get their attention, you will say it can actually reduce the federal government itself. And there is an AI component to this because, of course, AI. And the best outcome of this, and this is actually not as rare as a lot of people think, is you can be asked for a proposal that might lead to a sole source award. So ChatGPT is going to be on all the federal desktops next year, and they certainly did not take the low road to get there. But we are not ChatGPT and our companies are not OpenAI. So the more likely good outcome of a proactive proposal would be that we earn meetings. And now we're playing the game that we want to play. All right, so back at Big Dog, this is the Big Dog business development process. And Angel is in charge of the last phase, the proposal phase of this. And she knew that if she wanted to spread her wings, she needed to get involved in deals from the very start. So she looked into their CRM system, their Salesforce system or other, and she identified a big deal that was about to drop in about 6 months. And this was a deal that the Big Dog leadership said was a must-win opportunity, which didn't really distinguish it much. They ended up calling everything a must-win opportunity. But Angel said, if you get me involved on this bid team from the beginning of the bid, we will win this deal because I will deliver the best proposal you have ever seen. Not only that, I and the team will deliver the best business development materials you have ever seen and the most effective. And now we're talking about all the materials from our initial messaging to our social media, to our RFI responses, to our presentation materials, maybe all the way through orals and our proposal. And, there's no account lead that's not going to take someone up on that kind of offer. So they said, great, Angel, you are on the pursuit team. We meet every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Awesome. Angel's on the pursuit team, and she sees the process that's laid out in front of her for this pursuit. And she says, if the federal government is moving towards an agile procurement process, maybe we should rethink our waterfall business development process. That is not agile. It is certainly streamlined because we've all been forced to streamline things, but this is not what commercial companies use. And the others on the growth team said, hold on, Angel, we don't do all those Shipley activities for every bid. And when we get a new direction or learn new information in the middle of a bid or in the middle of a proposal, we can turn on a dime. And Angel said, well, those are both good things, but don't confuse a nimble, flexible waterfall process for being agile. Agile came out of the software world. And if you were around last century developing software like I was in Knoxville, you will remember when our development process looked something like this. We would talk with customers, we would listen to what they want, we would document the requirements, put it in a document, review it with customers, get their approval, great. We would move on to the design phase, get our designs right, document them, review them with the customer, great. Coding, integration, acceptance, etc. Until some very wise people said, how about instead of all of these analytical activities, we instead focus on getting a functional slice of the software in front of customers as soon as we can. Let them tell us what they like, what they don't like about it, give them another version in a week. Hear the same thing, give them another version a week after that. It turns out that that type of interaction with customers like that better, and they end up getting way more of what they want. And while these planning activities and analytical activities can still be important, they should only be done as they serve the delivery of software to customers. And we always want to keep the main thing, which is the delivery of the software or the value to customers. All right, back in our world of business development, what is our main thing? It is our value proposition that we give to customers. And Angel recognized that while the other folks, she was okay with the other folks marching along through the business development phases, she said, hey, I got the value proposition. I'm going to focus on that from the very beginning of the deal. All right, how do you do that? The first thing that you need to focus on a value proposition throughout a deal is to recognize that your value proposition to a customer has many levels of abstraction, many levels of decomposition. Starting at the top, I organize it into 6 different levels, and the details aren't important. What is important is that you deliver your value proposition to your customers from the top down, because that's how people learn. So what are we talking about? So at the top, we're talking about the initial phrasing, the initial messaging that goes between you and your customers. Maybe the stuff that your executive might talk about with a customer executive at an industry event, or that your folks on the ground or your consultants talk with their colleagues at the agency about, or maybe your social media posts about a certain opportunity, or maybe your LinkedIn requests, that say, hey, I'd like to get to that your salespeople use with agency personnel. And what do you talk about in these initial conversations when you're talking with either prospective customers or your current customers about a new deal? Most companies get in front of customers and say something like, "We are a great company. We do great work." Or to their current customers, often their messaging is, we've been here for 5 years. We have enabled lots of success at the agency. Your folks love what we've done here. And Angel steps in and says, our target customers really don't give a crap that we are a market leader or we're number one. And our current customers don't really need to be reminded that they love us. These are things that we are proud of. We should be talking about things that they're going to be proud of. All right, what's that? So a couple years ago, I worked on a $6 billion bid for the contact center for Medicare, Medicaid, and the Affordable Care Act marketplaces. And I think it was the largest contact center in the federal government. And we distilled our overall bid, our overall value proposition down to the single phrase that in essence said, every year the agency's citizen satisfaction scores would go up. And that may not sound that earth-shattering, but these were the scores that the secretary would take in front of Congress to justify their budgets. Most importantly, a situation where the citizens' satisfaction scores were continuously rising were a situation that the folks at the agency aspired to do. And because of that, they were interested in this topic. All right, where do you find initial phrasing like this to grab customer interest? I like to see, you can read strategic plans, of course. I like to see what the agency leadership says in public. Don't worry about reading the details of this window. Recently, a Kathleen Coles from Deepwater Point went to a government executive forum, and she was nice enough to summarize the results and put them out on LinkedIn. And she noticed that the executive from Center for Medicare and Medicaid, CMS, said that they were adopting commercial style fraud detection. So let's say I sell virtual diagnostic tools and I want to sell them to CMS. I could do worse than initial messaging that said something like this. And the reason something like this might work is because it describes a situation that they might aspire to, that they might be interested in. And when I can present and start talking about these kind of topics, I will get their interest. And Angel asks her BD and salesperson to come up with these taglines, and maybe she'll get marketing involved or other people, but the salesperson's going to be the person coming up with the taglines because she's the one who's going to be using them most. And when she finds one that gets traction with customers, Angel is immediately going to start developing a white paper. And we know what the title of the white paper is going to be. It will be that tagline. All right, what's the rest of the white paper going to be? It will follow a persuasive argument for solution sales. And I'll let you read this. Nothing, again, nothing earth-shattering, sort of common sense, but we will start with "we hear you." And how are we going to say that we hear you at the beginning of our white paper? There are many different ways. Here are three that work. We can say, we understand what you're trying to do from a procurement or a contractual perspective, or from a mission perspective, or we understand the big challenges you have in this area. And as we put the white paper together, Angel's going to ask her contracts person for a few sentences on what the agency is trying to do from a procurement perspective. And the salesperson is going to be in charge of the paragraph on what they're trying to achieve from a mission perspective and the challenges. And great, we have our opening, maybe page 1 for our white paper. Second page of our white paper, we have a solution for that. And the second page of our white paper is going to be mainly a picture, and it's going to be a picture of the future. And this is a future that the agency finds desirable. So if I sell IT systems, maybe this is a picture of a modernized system architecture. If I sell cyber services, maybe this is an elevated security posture or streamlined business process. If I sell landscaping services, maybe this is a picture of a beautiful agency headquarters that has its landscaping perfect. Whatever it is something that the agency sees as a desirable state, and this is an agency picture. This is not a big dog picture. It happens to be enabled by things that Big Dog is offering. So Angel is going to ask her solution architect for this to be his initial deliverable. And he happens to look a lot like Barack Obama. And she understands that because this picture will be so important to gaining customer mind share around our initial offering, that she's going to hook him up with a graphics designer because this picture needs to be beautiful. Because Angel understands that every deal can be won with a single picture, if it's the right picture. Right. We have page 1, page 2 of our white paper. Page 3 of our white paper is going to be some combination of there are benefits to this solution, and we've delivered this to agencies like yours so you can trust our solution. So now when our salespeople or our folks on the ground talk with customers and say and bring up this topic, they can say and get some interest. They can say, would it be okay if I presented you a white paper on how you might achieve something like that? And no customer or prospective customer is going to deny a white paper about some place that they want to go or that they want the agency to go. Of course, you can send me a white paper. I call white papers the drones of RFO warfare. They are targeted, they are cheap, and they can be extremely effective at gaining or keeping a customer's interest. And why do we want customer interest this early in the sales cycle? There's many reasons, but the primary reason is because we want them to meet with us. And maybe these meetings are online, maybe they are in person, but no one's going to know, like, and trust your company unless they'll talk with you. Awesome. We got the meeting. What are we going to say? Whoops. What are we going to say? I can tell you what most companies say when they get in front of federal customers, either prospects or current customers. They say some version of their capabilities. They present their capabilities deck and they say, we are great at this, and we're great at this other thing, and we're great at this third thing. And we have developed these capabilities, additional accelerators. And let me tell you about all the different features of our accelerators. And let me tell you about our happy customers, because people who use our services love us. And Angel steps in and says, you know what? If we do a meeting like this, we're going to lose the interest of this customer. Again, we're talking about things that we are proud of. Our customers have their own fish to fry, and we cannot be asking them to connect the dots between the stuff that we're proud of and them frying their fish. All right. So what are we gonna present instead? Oh, so I did make a step 5 just around what not to do. And I made this a step because this is something that you will have to do at least once a month from now until the end of your career. Because so many times companies and salespeople and executives want to present things that that they are proud of, as opposed to things that the customer is going to be proud of. And you will have to correct them. It is against human nature. It's not intuitive, but it's a better way of doing things. Cool. All right, so what are we going to say in our meetings? Well, Angel's going to create the meeting materials, and she's going to say, we're going to start the meeting the same way we started the white paper, and we're going to say that we hear you. And the real message here is that we have done our best to hear you. We have listened to what your executives say in public. We've read your strategic plans. We've talked to folks, and we think this is what you're trying to do. Then we're going to follow that up. Oh, and if we start the meeting off with we hear you, we will retain their interest. And we will differentiate our company from all the other companies who get in front of federal customers and start blathering on about all the stuff that they're proud of. How are we going to keep their interest? Well, we're going to say, we hear you. We think this is what you're trying to achieve. And then we're going to start with our solution to it. And we think that this is a way that you can achieve what you're trying to what you're trying to do. And the magic of we hear you and we have a solution for that in this form is that these things don't have to be perfect. Matter of fact, they won't be perfect. It's like, don't delay setting up this meeting until you have these things perfect. What they do have to show is that you did your homework and that you did your best. And by talking about a place that they want to go and how they might want to get there, this is something that these folks have thought about. So they will engage you and they will say, well, that's sort of right, but we were going to do this before that, or we were going to use this component instead of that component. And as soon as they engage to correct and help your solution to this, Angel will coach her folks that are in the meeting that they're going to shut up and listen. And as soon as they shut up and listen, again, they will differentiate themselves and they will become people that are liked and trusted by customers. And if the meeting never gets off this picture of where they want to go and the discussion around it, that would be a good thing. Because the vibe that you want to create is that you and they are collaborating to make this agency picture and make it a vision that they would want to put up on their wall. And if you can create this vibe in working with your customers, you will get them to yes before an RFP even drops. All right, meeting's over, went well. Angel's immediately going to start working on the executive summary, again, before the RFP even drops. And how are we going to build out this executive summary? All right, 1 and 2 are just like our white paper. We are going to do but we're going to blow out 3 and 4. So what's 3 going to look like? The solution delivers meaningful benefits. This is a feature benefit table like you've all done 1,000 times. Slightly different in that we will jump off from our picture and say, you know, those solution components in how you are going to get where you want to go. Well, each one of those has features and each of those has benefits. And again, you've done many feature benefit kind of things. The magic of this table is in the 4th column, or part of the magic in this table. And this table needs to be limited to 1 page, and when presented, it can't jump across pages. The 4th column on this table is going to be a risk of alternatives. And this is where the gloves go off, the earrings go off, and you are going into hand-to-hand combat with your competitors. And if you know that they're going to say they can do something in 6 months that you know takes a year, you're going to put in this table, 3rd page of your executive summary, that someone's going to try to underestimate this job. And if they do, you, agency, are risking mission failure. You are risking calls to Congress. You are risking the agency getting trolled in social media. Alternative solutions are risky. And in this table, you will parry every attack that you think that your competitors are using to come at you, and you will attack every competitor's weakness. This is not a column to be subtle or nice in. If you do competitive analysis, some people call them black hats. I don't want the results of your competitive analysis or black hats to be gathering dust in a SharePoint folder somewhere. I need whoever was in charge of your competitive analysis, maybe it's a capture person, to own this column, maybe own the whole table. And if the destination for our solution vision was to be on their wall, the destination for this table, which is the most concise summary of why we would select Big Dog, is in their award justification document. So we're going to write this for them. And I have had government evaluators tell me that they use this table in exactly that way. They can cut it and they can paste it into their award justification document. And because it is the most concise why we selected Big Dog. Cool. All right. Executive summary 4, I don't need to tell you all how to write proof points. I do need to coach clients to close your arguments with your proof points. Don't come out of the gate with we're number 1. They're just more effective that way. This is where you get to put the foam finger on and say we are number 1 and market leaders and our customers love us and here are the kudos. And with that, you've closed the persuasive argument. You have a very compelling executive summary. I'll go through a couple other elements of things that make executive summaries very compelling. And again, these don't have to be literally the executive summary. Maybe they're the beginning of your technical approach or your management approach, or wherever you think that these items will get scored. Your teaming table, we almost always have one. Just recognize that a company's value on your team is not that they are an 8A with, cleared Python programmers. It's some mission value that we want to be presenting about these companies. We're going to have whoever does our teaming, whoever's driving our teaming, own this table and produce this, again, before the RFP even drops. We're going to have our org chart, of course. If these are people delivering this services, get their faces in the document. If they're friendly faces, definitely get them in the document, but don't stop there. So Angel's going to ask her operations person to run ahead and start doing the org chart and getting all the headshots ready. We're also going to align everyone in our leadership to somebody in the customer's leadership. And we're going to say that the people in our leadership have no greater responsibility than the customer satisfaction of this person that they are aligned with. If we don't know who the leadership of the customers are, that's a very healthy thing to go dig up again before the RFP even drops. It's great if we can show in an executive summary that we understand that the agency is not some monolith. They have their own different constituencies that, and stakeholders in this program. Maybe one of the stakeholders are their citizen customers. Maybe another one is their leadership and what they might want to tell Congress or somebody else. Maybe another one is their cyber group that wants to see things done a certain way, and that all will get, I like to show that they'll get things early in the delivery cycle and even down the road, because obviously we're here for a long time and we're thinking long term. All right, so in executive summaries, we've all had to make decisions about how to fit, compliance with a 20-page, with a 50-page PWS in a 25-page tech volume. I would just suggest that explain this to them in words. Don't make them figure it out from a compliance matrix. If they tell you that you will be scored on your clear understanding or your effective approach or your strengths, again, tell them early, maybe in your executive summary, that they're not going to have to hunt for these things. We are going to clearly identify the scoring criteria with icons, with paragraph headers to make their scoring easy. I do recommend that you use icons for this purpose, for scoring criteria. A lot of people use them. It's tempting to use them for win themes. Just realize win themes aren't getting scored. These things are. And coming out of this, what I'd like to just impress is that a rich, information-dense executive summary is possible, but only if you start before the RFP drops. And this is not the kind of thing that can be done by an inspired account executive in some evening. It takes a whole team to do this. I say it's a team sport to develop this level, this kind of executive summary. And by now, everyone knows who's leading that team. It is Angel. And all of the things that we're asking, the details that we're asking folks to come up with, what will become clear is the corollary to this step is that it's winning behavior to go dig out customers and constituencies and all the different people that might benefit, and to start preparing your organization chart and all those things. It's very healthy to start doing that early in the process before the RFP even drops. And when you do, you can develop executive summaries and proposals that will get review comments like this. I'll give you a minute. This was real. So this came from that $6 billion proposal. And Angel delivered on her promise that she would use these techniques to give people the best proposal they've ever seen. And now, when the RFP does drop and we are developing our proposal, from this perspective, from an AgileBD perspective, all we're doing is further decomposing our value proposition. And it turns out that the lower level approaches in your tech volume or your management volume are really just mini versions of the same type of persuasive arguments. And finally, we do have a place for our capabilities and our discriminators and our proof points and our kudos and our we're number one. And when Angel and her merry team of growth practitioners focused on driving value in its most compelling way to customers throughout the deal cycle, from the beginning of the deal cycle, they won. They won things that they had no business winning because their proposals were more compelling than competitors. AgileBD has been used to win $12 billion in work over the past 6 years. I can tell you that all of the benefits that were achieved by Agile software development are absolutely available to Agile proposal development, Agile business development. These are not hype, they're real, they're durable, they're measurable. And when Big Dog achieved these types of benefits, Angel took over the world. And if anyone on the call thinks that you might be able to use these kind of techniques to take over the world, I will just ask you that you look at step 7, rule your empire with grace. If you do, there's a growing list of companies. There are billion-dollar companies on this, down to mid-sizes and smalls. Many consultants in the industry are starting to practice this stuff. And with that, I will say there is a book. So this is just a tiny book you can get from Amazon. And that's all I got. I do like this stuff. I would love it if you guys would link me in and stay in touch. Tell me what you think.
Todd, this is fantastic. I have so many. I'm gonna have to go back and watch this like 3 times. I got a lot of good ideas. I love the idea of lining up the personnel that we'll have on it with the person to please on the customer side, and the
Very
icons
effective.
for the evaluation criteria. So much. Could you put a link to the Agile Business Development book in the chat? That way we can all buy one.
Hey, I've got
Sure.
it loaded up already. Here,
You
I'll
got it,
just
Yeah,
go
Rachel.
ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been waiting to send the link.
thank you. Because I'd break something if I tried to switch windows right now. It's just if you go on Amazon and just type Agile Business Development, you'll get it.
Mhm. And
Got
I
it.
did want to say a little something about that. The book itself, I have right here,
Oh,
if anybody can see my window. This is a marvelous book. It's a well-loved book. And a lot of what Todd presented is in the book, including the some of the tables and charts that he showed us. So you don't have to go back and watch the video and freeze frame to rebuild your own chart. It's right here. And one of the things that I really love is some of the examples. Here, I'm going to, hey Todd, can you take down your screen right quick? I wanted to show something that I absolutely love about this book, and that is making sure a lot of times we do things in our proposals, we type them up, we think they sound good. And while I was paging through this book, I saw an example of, hey, you want to do this, not this. And I fell in the don't do this column. So, and I think a lot of that has to do with years of basically doing the same thing that worked before. But like Todd has mentioned, things are developing. The world is changing. So um, with that, I feel like this is more of an updated version to help keep you refreshed on what not to do and not get stuck in the rut of, well, it's been working. So thank you, Todd, so much. This has been a great investment, and I highly suggest this to any proposal individual out there. Does anybody have any questions for Todd before we show our wrap-up slide? We have a quiet group, Todd.
fine. Yeah, I will tell you, if anybody thinks that this webinar would be effective at your company, I do these for free. So I'd be happy to present this to any of your companies. Just get in touch. We'll schedule time.
And if you didn't catch his contact information, again, my email's in the group chat, so everyone is welcome to contact me if you need to, questions, comments, concerns, complaints, whatever. Again, thank you so much, Todd. I am going to share some last minute words with you. Again, thank you, Todd, for everything. Everybody, please go out, look at the book. I promise you, you won't regret the investment, and it's not a very large investment at all. And thank you for attending today's meeting. We greatly appreciate your time. And for our Mid-South chapter members, you all are used to us doing a giveaway at the end of our our monthly meetings. And it just so happens that we still have 8 gift cards that we are sitting on, and we want to get those out to our membership. So what we are going to do is that those members that attended today's meeting will be put into a random drawing, and 8 of you will be receiving an email from me letting you know that I would like to email you a gift card. These gift cards are Amazon gift cards. Some are, half of them are $25 and half are 10. I won't know what you're getting. It's going to be completely random. So whatever you get will be a surprise to me as well. And if you are not receiving any emails from me, please make sure that your email is correct in your membership with APMP. We have had several emails that come back as non-deliverable, that the email address is not recognized. It could be that maybe you changed businesses and you're working with a different company. So just make sure you're up to date on your APMP profile. And unless we have any questions, or if anybody would like to pose a question for us to discuss before the meeting time is up, we can do that. And if you don't have any questions, then you get a few more minutes back for your day where you can choose to get a snack or do something before you have to get back to the grind. So thank you all again very much for attending. Greatly appreciate your time, and I hope everyone has a marvelous, marvelous weekend.
Thanks.
Take
Thank you,
care.
Todd. This was great.